I made the tough decision to leave my wife, despite loving her so much, because her parents created an unfillable hole in their expectations for me and I wasn't perfect enough for them. 2 years ago, I made the hardest, most soul-shattering decision of my life. I left my wife. Not because I stopped loving her or because we grew apart. I walked away because I couldn't keep tearing myself apart, trying to be someone I wasn't, to fit into a life that felt like it was slowly strangling me. My ex-wife and I met when we were just kids, barely 18, with the kind of naive hope that thinks love can conquer anything. She was my best friend, my other half, my safe place in a world that sometimes felt too big and too cold. When we stood there exchanging vows, I truly believed we'd be together forever. And maybe we could have been, if it was just us. But it wasn't. Her family had expectations. They wanted a doctor, a respected man with a title and prestige, someone who fit into their perfect image of success. They never said it outright, but every look, every subtle comment chipped away at me. They didn't see me for who I was, they only saw the gap between who I was and who they thought I should be. And my wife, she was caught in the middle, torn between their love and mine. We tried to make it work. God, we tried everything. We moved to different cities, created distance from her family, hoping that it would give us space to build something that was just ours. For a while, it worked, and I thought maybe we'd found a way. But every holiday, every phone call brought those expectations crashing back down on us. It was like her family's hopes for her future were this invisible weight pressing down on us, one I couldn't shake no matter how hard I tried. My wife started to change. She didn't want to, I could see that. But that constant tension wore on her. She looked at me like she was caught in a trap, like she was torn in two. And I felt powerless. I couldn't ask her to choose, but I could see the pain she felt, the guilt she carried. Her family had her in their grip, and I was just another weight, pulling her in the opposite direction. Eventually, we both broke. I remember the day we decided to separate. There wasn't yelling or accusations, no one stormed out. It was quiet, like a mutual surrender. We sat on the couch, both of us just holding each other, crying, knowing that love wasn't enough to save us from the world around us. And in that moment, I felt like my heart was being torn out of my chest. I let go of the one person who knew me inside and out, not because I wanted to, but because I felt like I was suffocating. I thought that maybe, if I wasn't in her life, she'd finally be free to live without that constant push and pull, free from the guilt and the expectations that haunted us. I thought I was doing something selfless, but the truth? I was broken. Walking away shattered me in ways I didn't know were possible. In the months after, I barely recognized myself. I was hollow, a shell of who I'd been, wondering if I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. Every day felt like a battle to just get out of bed, to go on with a life that suddenly felt like it wasn't mine. And the worst part? The memories. Everywhere I looked, I saw her, our inside jokes, her smile, the way she'd curl up next to me at night. I felt haunted by a love that was still so painfully alive, yet completely out of reach. I've spent the last 2 years trying to rebuild, piece by piece, but there's a part of me that's still living in that moment on the couch, holding her, crying, both of us knowing that what we had wasn't strong enough to withstand the world. I still love her. I don't think that we'll ever change. And I don't know if I'll ever truly move on. People say time heals, but some wounds feel too deep to ever really close. I wanted to share this here, not because I'm looking for advice or sympathy, but because the weight of this loss is too much to carry alone. I lost myself trying to make a life with her, and now, in letting go, I'm still trying to find the pieces of who I am without her. If you're reading this, thank you. Sometimes, just putting it into words feels like the only way to make sense of it all.